we're going through Daniel, and what I'd like to do is finish it today. I'd like to finish Daniel. We have the last 3 chapters, 10, 11, and 12. What we were kind of talking about before we started was that really 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 is kind of a continuation of like the same idea kind of over and over and all that. And chapter 10 is not that long. 11 is kind of long, but 12 is very short. And so I kind of would like just to read all those and we can finish up Daniel today. That's the goal. As with everything, if we don't finish it, it's not that big of a deal. But I think, especially with how last week went, how like, there just isn't nuances in these chapters like there are in previous chapters. I think we'll be better served by that. So we'll listen to chapter 10, 11, and 12. We'll just listen to it right in a row. So here we go. Let's hit that button, and then we hit this button, and then we hit this button. Okay, here we go.
In the 3rd year of Cyrus, king of Persia, a message was revealed to Daniel, whose name was called Belteshazzar. The message was true, but the appointed time was long. And he understood the message and had understanding of the vision.
In those days, I, Daniel, was mourning 3 full weeks. I ate no pleasant food, no meat or wine came into my mouth. Nor did I anoint myself at all, till 3 whole weeks were fulfilled. Now, on the 24th day of the 1st month, as I was by the side of the great river, that is, the Tigris, I lifted my eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose waist was girded with gold of Uphaz. His body was like beryl, his face like the appearance of lightning, his eyes like torches of fire, his arms and feet like burnished bronze in color, and the sound of his words like the voice of a multitude. And I, Daniel, alone saw the vision, for the men who were with me did not see the vision. But a great terror fell upon them, so that they fled to hide themselves. Therefore I was left alone when I saw this great vision, and no strength remained in me, for my vigor was turned to frailty in me, and I retained no strength. Yet I heard the sound of his words, and while I heard the sound of his words, I was in a deep sleep on my face, with my face to the ground. Suddenly, a hand touched me, which made me tremble on my knees and on the palms of my hands. And he said to me,
O Daniel, man greatly beloved, understand the words that I speak to you, and stand upright, for I have now been sent to you.
While he was speaking this word to me, I stood trembling. Then he said to me,
Do not fear, Daniel, for from the first day that you set your heart to understand and to humble yourself before your God, your words were heard, and I have come because of your words. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days, and behold, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, for I had been left alone there with the kings of Persia. Now I have come to make you understand what will happen to your people in the latter days, for the vision refers to many days yet to come.
When he had spoken such words to me, I turned my face toward the ground and became speechless. And suddenly, one having the likeness of the sons of men touched my lips. Then I opened my mouth and spoke, saying to him who stood before me, My Lord, Because of the vision, my sorrows have overwhelmed me, and I have retained no strength. For how can this servant of my Lord talk with you, my Lord? As for me, no strength remains in me now, nor is any breath left in me. Then again, the one having the likeness of a man touched me and strengthened me. And he said,
O man greatly beloved, fear not. Peace be to you. Be strong. Yes, be strong.
So when he spoke to me, I was strengthened and said, Let my Lord speak, for you have strengthened me. Then he said,
Do you know why I have come to you? And now I must return to fight with the Prince of Persia. And when I have gone forth, indeed the Prince of Greece will come. But I will tell you what is noted in the scripture of truth. No one upholds me against these, except Michael, your prince.
How fast will it switch? There.
Also, in the first year of Darius the Mede, even I, stood up to confirm and strengthen him. And now I will tell you the truth. Behold, 3 more kings will arise in Persia, and the 4th shall be far richer than them all. By his strength, through his riches, he shall stir up all against the realm of Greece. Then a mighty king shall arise, who shall rule with great dominion, and do according to his will. And when he has arisen, his kingdom shall be broken up, and divided toward the 4 winds of heaven, but not among his posterity, nor according to his dominion with which he ruled. For his kingdom shall be uprooted, even for others besides these. Also the king of the south shall become strong, as well as one of his princes, and he shall gain power over him, and have dominion. His dominion shall be a great dominion. And at the end of some years they shall join forces, for the daughter of the king of the south shall go to the king of the north to make an agreement. But she shall not retain the power of her authority, and neither he nor his authority shall stand. But she shall be given up with those who brought her, and with him who begot her, and with him who strengthened her in those times. But from a branch of her roots one shall arise in his place, who shall come with an army, enter the fortress of the king of the north, and deal with them, and prevail. And he shall also carry their gods captive to Egypt, with their princes and their precious articles of silver and gold. And he shall continue more years than the king of the north. Also, the king of the north shall come to the kingdom of the king of the south, but shall return to his own land. However, his sons shall stir up strife, and assemble a multitude of great forces. And one shall certainly come and overwhelm and pass through. Then he shall return to his fortress and stir up strife. And the king of the south shall be moved with rage, and go out and fight with him, with the king of the north, who shall muster a great multitude, but the multitude shall be given into the hand of his enemy. When he has taken away the multitude, his heart will be lifted up, and he will cast down tens of thousands, but he will not prevail. For the king of the north will return and muster a multitude greater than the former, and shall certainly come at the end of some years with a great army and much equipment. Now, in those times, many shall rise up against the king of the south. Also, violent men of your people shall exalt themselves in fulfillment of the vision, but they shall fall. So the king of the north shall come and build a siege mound, and take a fortified city. And the forces of the south shall not withstand him. Even his choice troops shall have no strength to resist. But he who comes against him shall do according to his own will. And no one shall stand against him. He shall stand in the glorious land with destruction in his power. He shall also set his face to enter with the strength of his whole kingdom, and upright ones with him. Thus shall he do. And he shall give him the daughter of women to destroy it. But she shall not stand with him, or be for him. After this he shall turn his face to the coastlands, and shall take many. But a ruler shall bring the reproach against them to an end. And with the reproach removed, he shall turn back on him. Then he shall turn his face toward the fortress of his own land. But he shall stumble and fall, and not be found. There shall arise in his place one who imposes taxes on the glorious kingdom. But within a few days he shall be destroyed, but not in anger or in battle. And in his place shall arise a vile person, to whom they will not give the honor of royalty. But he shall come in peaceably, and seize the kingdom by intrigue. With the force of a flood they shall be swept away from before him and be broken. And also the prince of the covenant. And after the league is made with him, he shall act deceitfully, for he shall come up and become strong with a small number of people. He shall enter peaceably, even into the richest places of the province, and he shall do what his fathers have not done, nor his forefathers. He shall disperse among them the plunder, spoil, and riches, and he shall devise his plans against the strongholds, but only for a time. He shall stir up his power and his courage against the king of the south with a great army. And the king of the south shall be stirred up to battle with a very great and mighty army. But he shall not stand, for they shall devise plans against him. Yes, those who eat of the portion of his delicacies shall destroy him. His army shall be swept away, and many shall fall down slain. Both these kings' hearts shall be bent on evil, and they shall speak lies at the same table. But it shall not prosper, for the end will still be at the appointed time. While returning to his land with great riches, his heart shall be moved against the holy covenant. So he shall do damage and return to his own land. At the appointed time he shall return and go toward the south. But it shall not be like the former or the latter. For ships from Cyprus shall come against him. Therefore he shall be grieved, and return in rage against the holy covenant, and do damage. So he shall return and show regard for those who forsake the holy covenant, and forces shall be mustered by him, and they shall defile the sanctuary fortress. Then they shall take away the daily sacrifices, and place there the abomination of desolation. Those who do wickedly against the covenant, he shall corrupt with flattery. But the people who know their God shall be strong and carry out great exploits. And those of the people who understand shall instruct many. Yet for many days they shall fall by sword and flame, by captivity and plundering. Now, when they fall, they shall be aided with a little help. But many shall join with them by intrigue, and some of those of understanding shall fall to refine them, purify them, and make them white, until the time of the end, because it is still for the appointed time. Then the king shall do according to his own will. He shall exalt and magnify himself above every god, shall speak blasphemies against the God of gods, and shall prosper till the wrath has been accomplished. For what has been determined shall be done. He shall regard neither the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women, nor regard any god, for he shall exalt himself above them all. But in their place he shall honor a God of fortresses, and a God which his fathers did not know he shall honor with gold and silver, with precious stones and pleasant things. Thus he shall act against the strongest fortresses with a foreign god, which he shall acknowledge and advance its glory. And he shall cause them to rule over many, and divide the land for gain. At the time of the end, the king of the south shall attack him, and the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind, with chariots, horsemen, and with many ships. And he shall enter the countries, overwhelm them, and pass through. He shall also enter the glorious land, and many countries shall be overthrown. But these shall escape from his hand: Edom, Moab, and the prominent people of Ammon. He shall stretch out his hand against the countries, and the land of Egypt shall not escape. He shall have power over the treasures of gold and silver, and over all the precious things of Egypt. Also the Libyans and Ethiopians shall follow at his heels. But news from the east and the north shall trouble him. Therefore he shall go out with great fury to destroy and annihilate many. And he shall plant the tents of his palace between the seas and the glorious holy mountain. Yet he shall come to his end, and no one will help him.
One more short one. And this one's good news.
At that time Michael shall stand up, the great prince who stands watch over the sons of your people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that time. And at that time your people shall be delivered, every one who is found written in the book. And many of those who sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, some to shame and everlasting contempt. Those who are wise shall shine like the brightness of the firmament, and those who turn many to righteousness like the stars forever and ever. But you, Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book until the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall increase.
Then I, Daniel, looked, and there stood two others, one on this river bank and the other on that riverbank. And one said to the man clothed in linen, who was above the waters of the river,
How long shall the fulfillment of these wonders be?
Then I heard the man clothed in linen, who was above the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand to heaven, and swore by him who lives forever, that it shall be for a time, times, and half a time. And when the power of the holy people has been completely shattered, all these things shall be finished. Although I heard, I did not understand. Then I said, My Lord, what shall be the end of these things?
Go your way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed till the time of the end. Many shall be purified, made white and refined, but the wicked shall do wickedly. And none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand. And from the time that the daily sacrifice is taken away, and the abomination of desolation is set up, there shall be 1,290 days. Blessed is he who waits, and comes to the 1,335 days. But you, go your way till the end, for you shall rest, and will arise to your inheritance at the end of the days.
Okay. All right, makes sense to everyone? Like that's, yeah, pretty straightforward, all that. So I have some thoughts, but before I get into my thoughts, it's hopefully you can see why I wanted to read all of that in one go. Like it's like that's it kind of makes sense how it all flows. What stood out to you? Like what do you think's going on here? You have like a overarching thing.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think he made his vision to coincide with what he thinks.
Now, what do you mean by that?
I know, I have an acquaintance of mine who wanted to run for a particular political office.
Yeah.
And at the time, he said that he had a vision and God told him that he should do this.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
And I don't happen to know Daniel, this Daniel.
You don't know Daniel?
I don't know Daniel.
Okay, yeah. Neither do I.
But, he seems to have some ideas already in his head, and he's having a vision that kind of goes along with his ideas.
Okay,
And I
okay.
haven't figured out his ideas, although it sounds like it could be any time in the world.
Okay.
So it was-
I think that's,
It didn't have to be.
I think a big point. I think that's an overarching idea like that's, and we'll get to that, I think we're seeing a rubric that there are some things in here that we can point to and go like, this seems really, really on the nose here, but it's also kind of a general idea of there's going to be all these, to quote earlier in Daniel, all these scary beasts that come and ravage the countryside, you could say, and all of that. And it's kind of almost, as Fred is saying, like almost like a rubric or something like that for like this is kind of how so it's kind of, it's this now not yet idea that everyone loves in this class.
Daniel's not trying to adjust history or explain history. He has a point to make, and he's making a story to show how all this stuff could.
So what's his point? I have an idea for what his point is. What's his point?
God prevails through it all.
There it is. God prevails like through it all in the end. Like that's what chapter 12 is. Like that. I like how long it's going to take. A time and a half a time. Like that, whatever that means. like that. like, yeah, time and a half. It's overtime. yeah.
Well, in the Jewish Bible, starting in 1140, it says, from this point, the predictions do not correspond to events as known from other sources. And scholars agree that the author must have been writing at the time of the events described in the preceding verses.
Okay.
So they're saying he knew already what had happened, and he, like you said, he's just saying,
Yeah.
God's controlling this.
Yeah. It's all scary. It's all scary. Like, and you're gonna see these things happen, and it's going to, but God prevails. God wins in the end. This is how I've always described Revelation. It's like, I know your life is a mess. I know things are scary right now, but I win in the end. In Revelation, it's 7 patterns of that. And so like that's, I'm going to read something to you guys here in a second, but like, I want to see where else you guys go before I do that, because it's going to influence you as soon as I read this thing from the Bible Project. But, so what else kind of stood out to you? Yeah, anyone have any other competing ideas or anything like that? Nothing? This is when we need Lee in the class. Like she should be causing problems right now. Like that's let me read. I'm trying to decide if I want to read this. I want to show it to you. I think reading it would actually be a little better. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put it on the screen so you guys can actually see it too. Let me make sure I got it up here. One second. Here it is. All right. Go up here. So it's really not that long, but let me share it so the friends at home can see it. So I don't have to share sound now. All right, share. All right. So this here is kind of this ending of Daniel, chapter 8 through 12, type of thing. So chapter 8, Daniel has another vision about the final 2 beasts from the previous chapter. Here, let me make this bigger. Some of you are looking at me weird. Here we go. Yeah. So this time they're symbolized by a ram, which he is told is the image of the empire of the Medes and the Persians, and a goat is the image of the ancient Greece. Out of the goat comes a bunch of horns, one of which symbolizes the evil king of chapter 7. In this vision, we're given a little more information about this king. He will attack Jerusalem and exalt himself above God by defiling the temple with idols. However, in the end, this king will be destroyed by God, who will in turn exalt the people in his kingdom. That sounds familiar with what we just read, right? Now in chapter 9, Daniel is puzzled as to when this will all take place. He consults a scroll of the prophet Jeremiah, where God said Israel's exile would last but 70 years before God would restore them. For Daniel, 70 years was almost up, and he asked God to fulfill his promise. However, an angel comes and informs Daniel that Israel's sin and rebellion hasn't been fully dealt with by the exile, and their times of oppression on the nations will last 7 times longer than Jeremiah had envisioned. Daniel is disturbed by this and has one final vision that spans chapters 10 through 12. We're shown the exact sequences of kingdoms of Persia, Greece, and Alexander the Great, followed by lesser kings that all lead up to final king of the north. He will invade Jerusalem, set up idols in the temple, and exalt himself above God. That's called the abomination that causes desolation in the King James there. The vision concludes, like the others, with the king suddenly coming to ruin. Now, you should see a pattern in Daniel. Like that's happened over and over again. Now, there have been endless debates about what all these visions refer to. Many see clear connection to the exploits of the Syrian king Antiochus during the mid-century BCE. He killed many faithful Jews in Jerusalem, set up idols in the temple. Others think they point forward to the Roman Empire's role in the execution of Jesus, destruction of Jerusalem, temple in 70 CE. Still others think that it is all will be fulfilled in future events that will happen when Jesus returns. The problem is that the symbols and numbers don't quite match these views perfectly, which opens up the possibility that, in a sense, they're all right. The book of Daniel has been designed to offer hope to all future generations of God's people. It did so in the days of Antiochus Emperor, and it has ever since. That's why Jesus used imagery from Daniel to accuse the oppressive leaders he confronted in Jerusalem. And that's why John, who wrote the Revelation, adapted Daniel's visions and applied them to the Roman Empire of his day, as well as all future oppressive empires. The book of Daniel offers readers of all generations an insight into God's problem and a pattern at work in history. The pattern reveals how humans and their kingdoms become violent beasts, which glorify their power and don't acknowledge God as their true king. But Daniel's visions hold out a promise that one day God will confront the beast, rescue his world and his people, and bring his kingdom. This book is for every generation and speaks a message of hope and motivates faithfulness. So, I thought that was really good when I read it. That's Bible Project's website. So that's who makes those like videos, the description videos and all that stuff. So it's called the Bible Project. They're very good. They're very good. They're not Lutheran, but they are, yeah, they make all of those.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They are very good. And the reason why I wanted to point that out over there, because he said the magic word for us, and while we're doing this class, is he said Revelation, and basically John does the same thing in Revelation and applies all these visions to Rome. And as we go through Revelation, we're going to see that all these big scary things that is being talked about are really visions of Roman power, and we're kind of separated from those now. And so we don't see them. So we make them, other things. And here's the other thing, and I'm gonna let you guys talk here in a second, but I think this is the key point, is Daniel, most apocalyptic literature, Revelation itself, was written and is meant to bring hope to those that are feeling down. This is why I get angry when people use this stuff to breed fear in Christians. I get angry at it because I'm going to say some strong things. People that use these things to bring fear onto people are misreading scripture and being used by Satan himself to bring anxiety on to people. It's meant to say simply this, and this is my view of it. It's correct, but it's my view, right? It's meant to say this: I know your life is scary. I know there's stuff in it that doesn't make sense. I know you have all these huge beasts and leaders and all that stuff who are prowling around and boastful and like all these these things, and they're going around and all this stuff is going on and it's all scary. But it's okay, I got you. But it's okay, I got you. I got you. And that is the point. That is the point of Revelation. That's the point of Daniel. That is the point of all of this. Is that all these, they may puff their chests out and they look all big and bad and all these things, but they're just beasts that'll be just destroyed. And that's the thing. So, and again, we're going to talk more in a second, but when people use this to breed fear, and we have had people for about 100 years now in the church that have used this breed fear. It's the Left Behind series. Like that's like is meant to breed fear, you know, and compliance from people. It's not meant for that. It's not meant for that. It's meant for when you go to the ER because the weed eater did something bad to your skin, you know? And they have to cut away things and all that stuff. It's scary, and they have to do scary stuff. And it's the admission of that it's going in there, but it's okay. It's okay. There is scary stuff that is happening around. War is scary. So that is the image that's going on here. Now, does anyone have any thoughts about any of that stuff?
So it's all about power.
Mm-hmm.
And even in the church, as you brought up, Bob, you know, you have different sects or whatever that want to have dominion
Yeah.
over what's going on.
Yeah.
And you stop and think about, what does it really matter if you burn incense or not?
Yeah.
It doesn't. But to some people it does, because it gives them power.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what he's saying. And he's also saying, yeah, when you die, go to heaven.
Yeah. Well, it's like heaven comes down. Heaven comes down. And so that's kind of that's kind of these dominating cycles that we see here. I don't know. Does anyone else want to say anything? Like, because that's, you know, we're kind of closing up the book here and all these things. Like,
Well, chapter 12, verse 13 kind of says it all, like you're just saying. As for you, go your way till the end. You will rest, and at the end of the days, you will rise to receive your allotted inheritance.
yeah. Like it ends all right there. You know, like it's like you will rest. like have peace, you know, have peace. And that's what these books are meant. Revelation is meant to bring peace on you. It mentions some scary stuff. And it's my personal belief that the reason why we have Revelation, because it's, as we're going to see when we go through it, it is a brutal look at the Roman hierarchy. Like it's making fun of Roman gods, it's making like all these things, but it's written like a fever dream. And I think Rome was like, yeah, if you want to read that. That's fine. There was probably other stuff that was more poignant that was written, but it was also, because it's so poignant, it was probably localized to a certain time, and it was probably destroyed by the Roman Empire. Like that's and didn't survive. And so like that's so like, you know, we gotta kind of read it like those things. So yeah, does anyone have anything else? Because I have a couple things I pointed out in this, but does anyone have any other ideas?
So the use of visions has been around a long time.
Oh yeah.
Having them, maybe they don't really have them from God.
Yeah. I had a weird dream last night, and when I woke up, I was like doing this Daniel. I'm like, did that dream mean anything? I don't know. I had a cigar stuck in my eye. It was a weird dream. The plank in my eye. I had a cigar, and it was lit. But not in my eye, like the outside of it. You know, like my eye was smoking. Yeah, like that. But like I was like, does that mean anything? Like that's thinking about Daniel here. But yeah, like, is there anything else?
I often think about my dreams. What do they mean? Who do I see? Why? You know, I often see my relatives in different stages of life at the same time.
Oh yeah.
You know, my grandmother and my daughter. And my grandmother never ever met my daughter. They're there together.
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
I did. I grew up in a fire and brimstone Lutheran church in German area of Pennsylvania, and was scared to death until I went to college about everything that's going to happen. It's going to be awful.
yeah.
And then I had a professor, a religion professor in college who was a Lutheran pastor who had been a Jewish rabbi during the Holocaust.
Oh, wow.
And he fled with his family to the basement of a Lutheran church in Hamburg, and there was converted and moved to the United States and became a religion professor in an ELCA, at that time ULC college.
Yeah.
Unique.
Yeah, he was an amazing man.
Yeah.
He had total insight on everything, in my opinion, and I was 18. What are you going to
Like that. Maybe it's, like, I think about that with Kyler and Ariel right now, too. Like they're going to look back and like, that guy didn't know that much. That's but that's, so speaking to what you just said there, Ed, like he saw like true atrocities.
Yeah.
You know, he lived out true atrocities. And something that I've thought about for a long time connected to that, that when people see true atrocity in their life, I think they become endlessly, it's a weird way to put it, fascinating though. Like they have a different experience in life, you know, like grace means something else, you know, like all that stuff. And I think that connects to this idea, like it's connecting to this like serious atrocity, you know, like that's where something happened, like all that, it's a different perspective, you know, like that's, and we all have little atrocities that happen to us, you know, and that shapes us, you know, those wounds that we get from all those things, those shape us and make us who we are. I'm not gonna say that. Like that's I thought about telling this little story, but it's not about anyone here. It's about someone somewhere else. Yeah. So one of the things that I noticed from chapter 10, I don't know if you guys noticed, it was verse 16. It suddenly sounds like Isaiah. Like that's, and suddenly one having likeness of the sons of men touched my lips, then opened my mouth and spoke, saying to him, stood before me, Lord, because of the vision, my sorrows overwhelmed me. You know, that sounds like I'm a man of unclean lips, you know, surrounded by a people of unclean lips. Like that's, you can kind of see this, and then he like touches his lips with the hot coal and all that. Like I thought that was good. Right after that one that he's talking to says, "O men greatly beloved," this is verse 19, "O men greatly beloved, fear not, peace be to you. Be strong, be strong." You know, like it's that drumbeat of everything's scary, but it's okay. You can have peace. Like that's, you know, it's like that drumbeat is there, and it keeps going. Let's see here. I like the one prince, the king of the south and king of the north and all those things, and they're all boastful and all this stuff. You know, they're just dominating kingdom after dominating kingdom.
North one?
The north one? I don't like where you guys are thinking down there. I know. Like, what's the state of Detroit right now? Like that's but all these dominating kingdoms, like that's it's going over all these things. Let's see here. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, a vile person shall rise up and not give any honor to any other kingdoms. I wrote this corrupt leader on chapter 11, verse 24, that he shall enter peaceably, even into the richest places of the province, and he shall do what his fathers have not done, nor his forefathers. He shall disperse many of them in plunder and spoil and riches, like just, it's just like complete domination, right? Then here's what do you want to say something, Ed?
I just want to say the Jewish Bible specifies that that's Antiochus IV.
Yeah. So then there comes some stuff that sounds really similar to us, and I want to point it out. So it's the Northern King's blasphemies is what my heading is on this. But beginning with verse, what was it? Kind of halfway through 30. So shall return and show regard for those who forsake the holy covenant. In verse 31, and forces shall be mustered by him, and they shall defile the sanctuary fortress. Then they shall take away the daily sacrifices and place there the abomination of desolation. And so what that's kind of referring to is when they would come in and take over, we'll say like Jerusalem, take over the temple, and then use the temple for their own means. They would usually put their gods as objects of worship in that temple. The reason why it sounds familiar to us is that's what the Greeks did. That's what Alexander the Great did when he conquered Jerusalem, and he made the temple into a place where they worshipped Zeus. And so they made the temple into a place where they worshiped Zeus. And that sounds really similar to that, but that would have happened every time they were conquered like that.
The footnote in the study Bible says it says abomination that causes desolation, an altar to the pagan god Zeus Olympius.
Yeah.
In 168 BC.
Yeah.
Antiochus.
Yeah. So like the Zeus thing, and then we go on to the story of the Maccabees, and that he led that successful revolt, and that's again we're talking about Maccabees here, like that, and so, but that's what that was all about. Is that when he cleansed the temple, he cleansed it from the Zeus worship. So, and again, I stress this. I know you're tired of hearing it, but it is the story when Jesus rides into Jerusalem, which looks like almost like a parody of that Maccabee ride in, and then cleanses the temple just like Maccabees did. Like, what did they think he was going to get rid of in the temple? Like, he was probably going to bring back correct worship. They probably didn't think he was going to do what he did, because he affected true worship out of there. I don't know. Like, it's just a fun thought experiment to think about what it meant for Jesus to cleanse the temple when he goes and overturns all the tables and all of that stuff. Like, all of this history plays into that story of Jesus so intricately. And the reason why I talk about it is I was never taught that growing up. And I don't know, I get frustrated when I think about that, because it's like, it's right there, and just I never was taught it, And so I'm going to talk about it forever, like now, because it matters. Let's see. Like, I thought verse 36 of chapter 11 was kind of fascinating. Then the king shall do according to his own will. He shall exalt and magnify himself above every god, shall speak blasphemous against the gods of gods, and shall prosper until the wrath has been accomplished. Like, and the reason why that stands out to me is that is this pattern of Genesis and the fall, is that this kind of Jewish understanding of what the fall was when Adam and Eve ate the fruit, that they saw that the fruit was good for food, but it also made it where they could be like God and knowing good and evil. And that like God phrase carries a bunch of weight. That like God is like, I could be God, you know? I could be that. And so when I read these words that come are in Daniel and all that stuff, he's speaking back to that understanding of the foundational sin in the fall, which I think, and this Luther agrees with, this is why I'm a Lutheran pastor, is that is our foundational sin, is that we want to be like God. We want to be gods of our own lives, you know, like that. So we want to raise ourselves up and, you know, and all these things. And this guy is actually getting away with it. Normally we can't get away with it all that well. Like but this guy's actually getting away with it type of idea. I don't know, I'm talking a lot, but that's.
For a while.
For a while. For a while. Maybe that's the difference, Ed. Some of us can get away with it for years. And some of us we get clapped down on pretty fast. For a while.
God will.
Yeah. Like that's, and so so like that's, and then you all of a sudden see this Michael thing, which ends in that, and I'll bring you rest during all of this. So did anyone have any other thoughts after I kind of said something?
He was a good guy that came and delivered them, right? But then how did he end up? He did not really.
Well, Rome eventually came in and took him over again.
But he didn't follow through and do everything right.
Yeah, so it's complicated. It's complicated. It's complicated. I think the reason why, because Luther, our modern Protestant Bible basically was because of Martin Luther. You know, he decided what he wanted to do, put in. He almost got rid of Revelation in there. He almost got rid of James. Luther did not like James, and all these things. And he thought about putting the Apocrypha in there. It would have been interesting. The Catholics, I think, actually have, I don't know, if you get a Catholic Bible, it'll have the Apocrypha in there. And the Apocrypha is where the Maccabees are and all that stuff. I think it's important to read. There are some books of the Bible that are just more important than others. You know, like the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are more important than Revelation. You know, they just are. They're more important than Romans. You know, the Pentateuch, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, is more important than 1 Kings. You know, like there's a gradient of what they say you should pay more attention to. You know, we do this. We may not acknowledge it, and someone would probably call heresy on me if they heard me saying that in mixed company. But it's how we treat this stuff anyway. Like, it's just telling the truth about how we treat it. The Apocrypha, I think, is like that. I think the Apocrypha is good to read, but you get to see and the reason why it's good to read, and this is Chris speak, you get to see the problems mounting that Jesus is dealing with. Like that you get to see the problem with the Sanhedrin and the way they're looking at the religion and all these things. You see the problems in the Maccabees. So did Judas Maccabeus do a good thing? Sure. It's fascinating that we have Hanukkah because of that. Like that's Hanukkah, because he cleansed the temple, put oil in the menorah. It's like, oh, we only have enough oil for one day. You know, and it lasted 8 days. And so we have that. Jesus, it's the festival of lights in the Gospel of John. That's Hanukkah. Like, that's Hanukkah. And so that's why it says that it was cold outside and the Festival of Lights was going on. That's what we call Hanukkah. And so what am I trying to say? So is it good or is he good? Sure. But let me spit some heresy at you real fast. All right, you ready? I put the Maccabees in the same category that I put Joshua. Yeah, Jericho and all that stuff. I think you get past Jericho and that book falls apart. Like, it's weird. And I think the book knows it falls apart because at the very beginning of it, Joshua, an angel of the Lord comes up to him and he goes, "Whose side are you on?" And it says, "Neither." Neither. And I think at the beginning of the book, it's telling you how to read it. And all these things. And I put Maccabees in that same spot. Does that make any sense? Got to be an adult to understand these things. So don't get out on me. Like all that stuff. But yeah, like the second chapter of Joshua, like the angel of the Lord says, "I'm on neither side." Like, so that's, which I think it tells us how we should read Joshua. And so like that's, but I say all that to say there's scary things all around. There's scary things all around, right? And we see that in Judges. Like, I think Judges is a great book because it just gets scarier and scarier and scarier and scarier to the point where Israel does to their own what they were unwilling to do to others, and just starts killing their own, you know, like that's, and we see the scariness, and the scariness can come from us, right? But hang on, you'll be saved. Yeah.
I just felt like Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Yeah.
Historical events that tell him about Jesus' life and his.
Yeah.
And that's already happened.
Yeah.
Revelation, on the other hand, is about something that hasn't happened.
Yeah.
To me, when I read it, that is.
Yeah.
A whole different story. I
Yeah.
understand.
And John, when he writes Revelation, he writes and he vaguely quotes Daniel the whole time, so you can kind of see what he's doing there. You know, Daniel is writing the stuff that he knows and is happening that he can see, but also he kind of writes about the stuff that he doesn't know, and we see it as a pattern. And I think we can take that we see in Revelation, and we can place that, and we're like, oh, I see these beasts all around me. But it's okay, God wins in the end. Because the bad thing that we can do is try to be the beasts of power ourselves and try to win. And to quote the sermon for this Sunday, we end up becoming the very thing we hate when we do that. When we try to defeat the evil around us with evil.
With what?
With evil.
Oh.
Like that, and that is how a lot of people use Revelation. They're like, oh, we can do this evil in order to accomplish some good thing. Let God do that. And so anyway, but thanks for coming. Like that's, and so we'll end right there. For everyone that's watching on YouTube, thanks for joining us today. All right, so are there any prayer requests?